That week, yes.
Right. And during 2 to 3 days later, while you were still at Mr. Alexander's, you had a telephone conversation, right? With Mr. McCartney.
That's not the one I was referring to.
But you did have some conversations with Mr. McCartney, right?
Yes.
Is that when you told Mr. McCartney about your injuries around the neck?
Are you talking about 2 or 3 days after the incident?
You told me that you had a telephone call with him 2 to 3 days after the incident. Do you remember telling me that?
I thought you were talking about the incident where he confronted me.
I'm asking you about a telephone conversation, ma'am. That's all I'm asking you about. Are we clear now?
Yes.
This telephone conversation that you told me about, you indicated that you told Mr. McCartney about this bruising, right?
Yes.
And my question to you is, if you have this telephone conversation with him 2 to 3 days after this supposed choking, he would not have been able to see any marks on your neck, right?
No, I was in Wairika by then.
Ma'am, if it's a telephone conversation and you call Mr. McCartney, isn't it true that he wouldn't be able to see your injuries because it's over the telephone?
Yes.
So then you leave to go to Wairika, right?
When?
When you left. When was that?
Left from where?
From Arizona. When was that?
No, I went to see Matt after Arizona.
You went to see Mr. McCartney when?
I stopped in to see Matt after I left Arizona with the U-Haul truck.
I understand that, but when did you leave Arizona?
Let's see. I believe it was 2 or 3 days after he did that.
Okay, so about the time of the telephone call is the time that you leave Arizona, right?
No. You're still fixated on the phone call. I misinterpreted what you had said earlier. There was no phone call 2 or 3 days later with the discussion of bruises.
There was no telephone call now, right?
No.
Okay, so why did you tell me there was a telephone call before?
I was referring to a few days after he confronted me about the bruises, which would put it many days after the fact.
So you're saying that there was no telephone call to Mr. McCartney while you were here in Arizona, correct?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's no discussion.
There was a telephone call, but there was no discussion, right?
I'm not saying there was a telephone call either. I'm just saying there was no discussion.
Well, you did reference a telephone call for me previously, right?
Yes.
And this telephone call you told me was 2 or 3 days later, right? Do you remember telling me that earlier in this conversation?
Yes, but I'm confused about what
Yes.
later you mean.
Okay, so you did tell me about it then, right?
Yes.
But now you're telling me that no, there was no telephone call 2 or 3 days later to Mr. McCartney after this supposed choking incident, right?
That's correct.
But you did leave Arizona some days after the choking incident, right?
Yes.
And that would have been what, April 7th, April 8th? Is that when you left?
I remember it by days of the week, but not dates.
Okay, what day of the week was it?
It occurred on a Tuesday, the choking, and I think I left town on Thursday or Friday.
All right, so you left 2 or 3 days later, right?
I believe so, yes.
Well, when you keep saying you believe so, it sort of leads me to believe that when you said Wednesday or Thursday that you really don't know. So, did you leave Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, it was after the event, but I didn't stay like a whole week beyond that or anything.
So then you drive, and is this the time that you turn around and come back, or this is the time that you actually leave?
That part, I don't remember. I'd have to look at dates, text messages, things like that.
So you don't remember if that's when you came back then, right?
I just know that,
So the answer is no, right?
no, that's not, I'm thinking probably not.
But you don't know,
Not for sure.
okay? So if you did come back, then you would have stayed more time there at Mr. Alexander's house, right?
Yes.
And then you do take off, and then you go up towards California, right?
Yes.
And you take the 10, So-
First the 60, then the 10.
right? And you proceed to Southern California, correct?
That's correct.
What time of the day did you leave?
I don't remember.
What time of the day did you get to Southern California?
I remember meeting up with Gus
Right.
in the late afternoon.
So what time would that be then?
I guess if I had to guess, it would be like 5 or 6. The sun was still up. It's June, or I mean April. I don't know. The sun was still up, but it was like low, like at an angle. So it'd be late afternoon.
So 6 o'clock then, right? That be fair?
Something like that.
And then you're there, how long are you there with Mr. Searcy?
I don't know, an hour maybe, a couple hours.
And then do you go to sleep in the truck? You said that you slept in the truck, right?
Right. After that, I drove for a while.
And then you slept in the truck, right?
I think I drove all the way to Hollister that night.
Okay, but at some point you slept in the truck at night, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't that night then?
I don't remember.
Could have been the next night?
Could have been the next night or the previous night.
Well, the previous night, there's only one night when you drive from Arizona to California. It's during the day, right?
I might have slept in the truck before arriving in Arizona. I mean, Southern California. I don't
During the
remember.
day you slept in the truck.
At night, I believe.
Well, no, it couldn't be at night because you told us that you got into Southern California at 6 o'clock in the evening or when the sun was going down.
Objection argumentative. She's also left Mesa twice.
Rephrase your question.
Right? This is the time that you actually left to go to California. You told us that you don't remember what time you left, but you got to California sometime in the evening or the afternoon when the sun was going down, right? Do you remember telling us that just now?
The sun was not going down. It was late afternoon.
Pardon?
The sun was not going down. It was late afternoon.
All right, late afternoon then makes it earlier in the day, right? Around 4.
Perhaps. I don't remember times.
So it was in the afternoon then, right?
Yes.
Is that fair?
That's fair.
And if you take off from Arizona to get to California in the afternoon, by necessity, you would have to have left in the morning, right? Not the afternoon.
If I didn't stop to sleep, yes.
Right. And so you're saying to me now that when you left on that leg of the trip, you actually went to sleep somewhere, right?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's possible. I don't remember when I slept in the truck. I just know that I slept in the truck.
Okay. Do you normally, as you're driving, do you remember sleeping during the day on the first leg? Do you remember that?
I slept during the day and at night during parts of the trip. It was broken up over several days before I arrived in Wairika.
So and then you get to California, you talk to Mr. Searcy, and then you drive, right?
Yes.
And you're sure you get to Hollister that night, right? You're sure?
I know that I was in Hollister the night that long text message came through.
I understand that, but you're saying that you left in the morning, you get there about in the afternoon. I'm asking whether or not you got to Hollister that night. That's what I'm asking.
I believe I did.
Okay, so now you're in Hollister. You spend the night there, right?
Yes.
Right, and then what time do you get up?
I don't know.
Where is Hollister in relationship to Monterey?
Oh, I think about an hour.
And so then you get up the next day. Is that the day that you meet up with Mr. McCartney?
No, I saw Matt before going to my sister's.
So he was down around Hollister, is that correct?
Where was he? No, he wasn't by Hollister.
So then where do you meet up with him?
We met up at his house.
Well, he lives in Seaside, doesn't he?
No, he lived in either Monterey or Pacific Grove. It was right on the border.
And Seaside is near there, right?
Seaside. Yes, it is near there.
And so back then he lived in the same general area. And where's Hollister in relationship to Monterey?
I would say, well, Hollister is kind of northeast, more inland.
So it's above Monterey, is that correct?
Yes.
So before you even got to Hollister to your sister's house, that's when you met up with Mr. McCartney then, is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Where? Where did you meet up with him?
I stayed, I can't remember where I slept, but I remember going to Matt's and Daryl's that morning with my U-Haul truck.
What's that? No, I didn't hear you.
I can't remember where I slept, but I remember going to Matt's house and Daryl's house, his apartment, with my U-Haul truck.
And what time of the day was it that you ended up at their houses?
That was in the morning.
And so, would that have been... But I thought your sister lives in Hollister, which is north of the Monterey area.
That's correct.
So would you have seen them before you went to your sister's house?
I know I stopped there before I went to my sister's house.
So what time did you get to your sister's house?
I don't remember.
Well, was it light outside?
I think it was because we had dinner.
And so that would have been around 6, right?
Somewhere in that ballpark.
And where did you, before that, where did you meet what time did you meet these individuals in terms of time before that dinner time? How many hours before that?
It would have been the same day, but in the morning. I don't know the hours exactly.
So you met.
Okay, so yeah, Dwayne, shout out to you and Sharon, and yeah, you better go back to the dinner. And thank you for tuning in and hitting the like button, and I hope you all have a great meal. Yeah, we certainly have been. This trial has its wild moments, and her reactions are just very shocking. How she's had no emotion to her. So I think that, Chad has liked it so far. It's certainly wild, indeed. And now the prosecutor is grilling her for the nonsense she's saying, and there's lots of explicit scenes where they talk about explicit scenes in there. So, yeah. So it would be memories from the past when you watched it. Yeah. So that is good that y'all are getting out and enjoying the dinner. Oh, she took your phone. Okay. Yes, Richard is a very interesting lady. Yeah, what happened with her was she murdered her ex-boyfriend that she was with in the past. She went and found him again and got back with him, and then stabbed him 27 times and cut him ear to ear. But yeah, on the stand, it's very interesting to watch on the stand. Yes, Travis may have been cheating. He may have been talking to different ladies, and he was with another woman. Then he went with this one, of Jodi, right? So the one on the stand. Now it doesn't mean that he deserved to get deleted or murdered over this, and it certainly wasn't overkill. She was not in any danger. Another thing about her is that other girlfriends say that Travis was fine, so they're trying to make her look as innocent as possible, especially the way she's dressed, like a librarian with the glasses and a soft-spoken, but she really wasn't like that before. So, yeah, it's a very fascinating trial to review. Okay, shout out to her and you, internet grandparents. Shout out to y'all. Okay, and I appreciate the different trials that we've seen, Wayne, and it's nice to have you here in the spaceship. All right. Now we will continue.
So you met him in the morning. Who did you meet first, Mr. Brewer or Mr. McCartney?
Matt.
And where did you meet him?
At his house. The house he was living in.
And is this the house that he was living in with these other individuals? Or is this a different?
Yes, same one.
And that's when, according to you, he saw the bruises, right?
Yes.
And did Mr. Brewer see the bruises too?
No, I put makeup on.
Well, didn't you also have makeup on with Mr. McCartney? Isn't that what you had on too?
I thought I did.
Well, the makeup hadn't changed from Mr. Brewer to Mr. McCartney, had it?
Yes, it did.
And why is that? I thought you saw him at the same time, or at
No.
or about the same time.
After I woke up, I went and saw Matt. Some of the makeup had worn off. He confronted me on it. Before going to see Daryl, I put more foundation on my arms and my neck.
So you had it on your arms. Where else?
My neck.
And, okay. Now this individual, Mr. McCartney, he's somebody that you will believe will never betray you, right?
I've had that belief in the past, yes.
Well, you had that belief after the killing, didn't you?
In September I did.
Well,
Not so much in June.
Let's take a look at, I'm going to have something marked as an exhibit. This is Exhibit 475, which is our clip number 8. If I may play it.
I was trying to call my friend that's in Monterey. He is a person that I usually tell everything to. He's somebody.
You had been friends throughout, correct?
Yes,
And he's somebody that when push comes to shove is not going to betray you, right?
I mean, that's my hope.
Well, that's not what you said on this exhibit number 475, and I moved that into evidence.
Objection.
No, done now.
Councilor.
It's somebody that if you need a favor, he's somebody that will help you out, right?
That would depend on the favor.
Pardon?
That would depend on the favor.
Mr. McCartney knows somebody, well, you also indicated with regard to him that it's just basically a friendship, right?
Yes,
But he's one of your allies though, right?
yes.
This will be Exhibit 476. I want you to view this.
That's before me again, before.
I move for the admission of Exhibit 476 based on a previous conversation.
476 is
Which
admitted.
note page is this referred to, Mr. Martinez?
Pardon?
Which note page is correlated with this?
6. It's been previously provided.
No objection.
476 is admitted.
Exactly, Richard. She is a lot like an actress, artist, in the sense that she could like masquerade herself to look a certain way she really isn't. So she's using it as a deception to try to, acting on the stand. Like she's kind of like a calm version of Amber Heard, but Amber Heard was not really believable at all. So that's a good analogy to have. Now, it's just a fun fact. This is a little bit off topic, but a fun fact. She was a sales representative before she did the murder. She worked on commission for a company now known as Legal Shield. She met Travis at a company conference in '06. She was a waitress bartender. She was an aspiring photographer and artist. Now she does from prison, she does do artwork that she works on. She does like to do art. But That's about it. She can't really do like the other stuff because she got locked up. All right. Library aide. She has held this position roughly 2018. Music program assistant. From 22 records indicate that she assisted with the prison band choir. All right. So, yeah. So that's what she does. She still does art stuff, but obviously, she's in jail now, so prison now, so she can't like do the other things. But yeah, and there's people have different opinions about it, but overall, people do agree that she went overboard with this killing, and for her own good, it would have been nice for her to move on and see someone else and not get herself or anyone else hurt. Right.
Absolutely. Friendships for sure. And, you had mentioned Matt and
Involving the injuries to the neck, right?
Objection, third shift, Judge.
Overruled. Nancy?
yes.
Ma'am, the way you've been telling your story on direct examination, and I'll just pick an example, for example, the sex. The way you sort of narrate it is that, yeah, he went along with it, but, it really wasn't sort of your cup of tea. It made you uncomfortable. Remember telling us that?
Yes, some things did.
And a lot of the things that you've told us in this case, including the murder, for example, you keep saying, well, yeah, happened, but what you're saying to us now, it's not my fault, right?
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, you did say, for example, that Mr. Alexander was the person who was very upset, right? And he was coming after you and left you no choice. Isn't that what you were saying?
That's how I felt in that moment.
But that's what you're telling us, that that's how you felt, right?
Yes.
Let me show you an exhibit that's already been introduced into evidence. This is exhibit number 245. That's you in position number 5, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's you smiling in position number 5, right?
Yes.
But you have a reason as to why you were smiling there, don't you?
Yes.
Let me have an exhibit marked so we can see what the reason is. I move for the admission of exhibit 477.
No objection.
477 is admitted.
Judge, my screen is ready to go. I don't know. Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
There is one thing I wanted to address, and that is my mugshot. And I think I did a little tilt on my head and gave a little smile. There's been a lot of attention given to that, especially on the internet. People speculating, why did I do that? How could she smile? I just want to address that because I think that people don't really understand.
I'd say that that's one of the reasons, but Mr. Alexander's dead at this time. He's not going to know about it, is it? Is he?
Well, I believe he would.
You think he's in this life now and knowing about this,
I
right?
didn't say that.
You made that decision yourself, didn't you?
Yes.
You didn't do it with the consultation of Mr. Alexander, right?
No.
Even though you say that's what he would have done, you have no way of knowing that that's what he would have done, that he would have smiled, do you?
I have a way of knowing, but it's more like speculation.
Right. You wouldn't know if that's what he would do or not, right?
Not for sure.
Objection, ask and answer.
Overruled.
So you just made that part up, didn't you?
I said that based on how I knew him.
And you did that to make yourself look better. In other words, you're saying, don't look this way, look over there.
Objection, argumentative. Compound question.
Sustained, rephrase.
You said it because you didn't want light to be focused on you for smiling.
That's correct.
And part of that conversation also that we had is that you said that you were innocent. You remember saying that?
Yes.
And previously on direct examination, when you were being asked about whether or not a jury would convict you, you said, well, the reason I said that was because I planned to be dead at the time, right?
That's right.
Not because you were innocent, right?
Not in that interview.
Well, actually, in that interview, you also said, I'm innocent. No jury will convict me. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, I did say that.
So it's the same thing that you're saying here, right?
Yes.
So it's not that you were going to commit suicide. It's because you truly believe that you didn't do anything wrong here, right?
I believed,
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
I knew that I was innocent of first-degree murder, and I did plan to be dead.
Did you say that you were innocent of first-degree murder?
No.
That changes, though, that you're saying you truly believe that you're innocent of first-degree murder. That changes from what you told us on direct examination, though, doesn't it?
Objection,
Nothing
argumentative.
changes.
Overruled. Doesn't it?
Nothing changes.
Well, in direct examination, you told us that the reason that you said on that Inside Edition clip, do you want to look at it?
No.
On that Inside Edition clip, that no jury would convict you was because you felt that you were going to commit suicide, right?
The reason I said those things?
No. In court, you told us that the reason you uttered those words was because you were going to commit suicide before the matter went to trial, right?
Yes, I was certain of it.
But that's not really what you said. You said you were innocent, right?
Yes.
And so when you went up there and you told us that, that's just not the truth, is it?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
It is the truth. I'm innocent of that charge.
Or is it because the jury won't convict you because you will have committed suicide?
That was also the hope.
Now, the other thing, ma'am, is that in terms of the breakup with Mr. Alexander, that occurred at the end of June of 2007, correct?
Correct.
And what you indicated was that after the breakup, one of the things that happened is that rather than staying in Palm Desert, you moved to Arizona, right?
I lived in Big Sur, and I did move to Mesa.
Pardon?
I lived in Big Sur, not Palm Desert. I moved to Mesa.
How long did you stay in Big Sur?
Approximately 2 months.
And after being in Big Sur for approximately 2 months and being broken up with Mr. Alexander, you decided to move down to Mesa, right?
Yes.
It isn't a situation where Mr. Alexander is helping you financially, is it?
That month, it was.
Which month is that? I thought you were up there 2 months.
The month that I moved.
So he helped you the month that you moved, but you were really not dependent on him for support, were you?
I couldn't have moved without his financial
Well,
assistance.
is that my question to you, whether or not you could have moved here?
Objection, yes it was.
Restate your question.
Ma'am, were you dependent on Mr. Alexander for your financial well-being?
In Big Sur, no.
And in Palm Desert, you weren't dependent on Mr. Alexander for your financial well-being there either, were you?
No.
You were working, I think you even said in Palm Desert, 2 or 3 jobs, right?
Yes.
And back up in Big Sur, you were working where? Ventana Lakes, is that where you were?
Ventana Inn and Spa and the Big Sur Bakery.
You were getting paid, right?
Yes.
You didn't need Mr. Alexander to provide for you in any way, right?
No.
And you made the choice to come down to Mesa, Arizona, right?
Yes.
And you made the choice as to where you were going to move, right?
Yes.
And in fact, ma'am, you indicated that there was a reason why you chose to come out to Mesa, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you indicated that it was Mr. Alexander. And that he was the reason that you came here to Arizona, right?
Yes.
Let's see how you put it. Move for the admission of Exhibit 478.
A moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
No objection.
478 is admitted.
Person off, but move it to time.
Right?
Yes.
And it also appears to say that, well, it was his fault that you came here. In other words,
Objection, that mischaracterizes her statement.
Rephrase.
in other words, you said, he is so persuasive, he convinced me that it might be a good idea if I did move here. That's what you said, right?
That's what I said.
He convinced you. That's what you said, right?
Yes.
Which means you didn't want to come, right?
Not after I found out how promiscuous he was.
Ma'am, am I asking you that? Isn't it true that you said that he convinced you that it might be a good idea? You're saying that he convinced you, right?
Yes.
Objection, asked and answered about 3 times now.
Sustained.
And that he was very persuasive, right?
He was.
And so what you're saying is it wasn't your fault.
Objection, argumentative, asked and answered again.
Overruled. You may answer that question.
What do you mean by fault?
What does fault mean to you?
Culpability.
Pardon?
Culpability.
Right. He was culpable. He's the reason why you're in Arizona.
I wouldn't characterize it that way.
Well, one of the things that seems to be a trend here is that you seem to be saying, well, I had no control over that decision. That's not true, right?
It was my decision.
That's right. And you were the one that decided to come out here, right?
Yes.
Even though you had broken up, right?
Yes.
Even though, at that point, there was no relationship between the two of you. At that point, right?
There was still some kind of relationship.
Telephone relationship, right?
Telephone and mail.
Right. So there was this sort of relationship, but you knew that you were broken up, right?
Yes.
I mean, you were the one that announced that on June 29th of 2007, you broke up with him, right?
That's correct.
And if you broke up with him, that means you had the, if you will, the wherewithal, the psychological wherewithal to say, no, I've had enough, right?
I could have.
Well, no, you did say that. You broke up with him on June 29th, didn't you?
Objection, mischaracterizes the testimony.
Regarding the breakup, yes, I had the wherewithal.
Right. And then, after that, you didn't move here to Arizona, right?
Not immediately.
No. The answer is no, right?
After the breakup, yes, I did move to Arizona.
Really? Immediately on June 30th of 2007, you moved to Arizona?
I said not immediately.
So you did move to Arizona on June 30th of 2007, right?
No.
You actually moved somewhere else to Big Sur.
No,
Right.
I was already in Big Sur for almost 2 months at that point.
Okay. So when did you come out here to Arizona if you were already up there for 2 months?
It would have been right before his birthday,
So when is his birthday?
July 28th.
So you came out here less or approximately 1 month after you broke up, right?
I came out here before that, but that's when I moved out here.
Okay, so you came out before, but you actually moved down here approximately 1 month after you broke up, right?
Yes.
And even though you guys are broken up, you moved to an area that's pretty close to him, right?
Yes.
And in fact, as this thing progresses, you even moved to another home that's even closer to him, right?
That's right.
Even though that you're broken up, right?
Yes.
Even though you say that there were these trust issues, right?
Yes.
Ma'am, one of the other individuals in your life was an individual by the name of Bobby Juarez. Do you remember him?
Yes.
And you indicated that you met him and then at a carnival, right?
The county fair.
County fair?
Yes.
Right. There were rides, that sort of thing there, right?
Yes.
And then after some time, you guys sort of just met, but you didn't see him after that until you saw him at a football game, right?
That's right.
And you said, well, I'm not very aggressive, but I really went up to him and I introduced myself, right?
I didn't introduce myself. I just asked if he remembered me.
Well, you went up to talk to him. How about that?
Yes, him and some mutual friends.
Yeah, is that yes?
Yes.
So even though you say you're not real aggressive, you approached him. He did not approach you, right?
That's right.
And with Mr. Alexander, even though you're in Big Sur less than a month or approximately a month after you break up, you make the decision to come here, right?
Yes.
So you have the ability to be, if you will, a person who can make whatever decisions are necessary for yourself, right?
Yes.
Even from the time that you were younger, it appears that you were, for example, assertive enough to go up to Mr. Juarez and say, do you remember me, right?
Yes.
And he said he did remember you, right?
Yes.
And you introduced yourself, right?
Yes.
And he introduced himself, right?
I already knew him.
So you knew his name, he didn't, you introduced yourself, right? Said, do you remember me? My name is so-and-so. Something like that is the way you told
Something
him,
to
right?
that effect.
Right. And so after that, you and he start to have a relationship, right?
A friendship.
But at some point you become boyfriend and girlfriend, right?
Yes.
And that boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, how long did it last before you broke up?
We broke up several times.
No, the first time. The first time that you broke up. That's what I'm asking about.
I would say 5 months.
And after you broke up with him, or you broke up with him, right?
Yes.
And after you broke up with him, on September 23rd of 1997, you were working somewhere, weren't you?
97? Yes.
Where were you working?
97. I think I was working at... I was in Wairika, but I don't remember which restaurant. I had several restaurant jobs during that time in high school.
Well, you remember that you talked to us about September 23rd of 1997 and the restaurant that you were working at when you were on direct examination. Do you remember telling us that?
I think I said the Purple Plum.
But you're having trouble remembering that today, right?
September 23rd, 97, yes.
No, the restaurant that you were working at.
On that day, yes.
Yes. Even though you told us what restaurant it was before, when you...
Objection, mischaracterizes testimony.
Overruled. You may answer.
I don't know.
You don't remember telling us what restaurant you worked at?
Not on that particular date.
How about, all right, how about a week before that date? Do you remember where you were working?
I was working at my dad's restaurant if it wasn't closed yet. If it was closed, I was at the Purple Plum or Grandma's house.
do you remember that you told us that during this period of time, shortly before this September 23rd of 1997, that you were a server and an old individual, an old man came into the restaurant? Do you remember telling us that?
Yes.
Are you having trouble remembering that, or the way you said?
I remember that incident.
Yes, you do remember that?
Yes.
And he used to come in, and according to you, he had a dog-eared Bible. Do you remember telling us that?
Yeah, it was a pocket size. New
Pocket
Testament.
size, right. And you remember that he talked to you about some of the scriptures and some of the verses inside that Bible, right?
I remember that.
And according to him, as you told it to us, the end of the world, pursuant to his calculations after reading the Bible, was September 23rd, 1997, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that immediately popped in your mind was that, well, Bobby. You thought about Bobby at that time, right?
Not immediately, but very soon after that.
Right. And one of the things that you told us was that he was not very religious, right?
Yes.
So why would he care to hear from you if some old guy is talking to you about the end of the world? Why do you think he would even care?
It felt like it was a moral responsibility.
Yes, you say that you feel it was a moral responsibility, but given what your relationship was, and he wasn't religious, why would you think that he would care?
My fear was that he wouldn't care.
Well, and so what? How is that relevant to you? How is that important to you since you're not even dating the guy? Why would you even care?
I cared about his eternal salvation.
Did you also go to your parents and say, Mom, Dad, I care about your salvation? Did you also go to talk to them too?
Ken had already talked to them.
Pardon?
Ken had already talked to them about
The
that.
bottom line is, did you go to them to talk to them to make sure they got the message?
It would have been redundant, so no.
Ma'am, the answer is yes or no. Did you go to them or not?
Objection, asked and answered, Jodi said no.
Sustained.
So you didn't go to them, right?
No.
And did you go to anybody? You were still in high school at the time, right?
Yes.
You didn't go to anybody else in high school with this message, did you?
I talked about it.
You didn't go to them with the message the way that you approached Bobby, though, did you?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled.
Well, since Bobby and I weren't talking, I guess that would be correct.
Right, because, and let's say, for example, if the people that you went to talk to at your school, high school, said, hey, I don't want to talk about it, you'd leave them alone, right?
Objection calls for speculation.
What she did 15, 20 years ago,
Oh,
what she would have done.
Overruled.
I guess so.
Pardon?
I guess so.
Well, no, you were the person back then, and you knew how you were, right?
Yes.
And you wouldn't have. If they'd have told you, leave me alone, you'd have left them alone, right?
Yes.
Well, but you treated Bobby differently, didn't you?
No.
Well, isn't it true that you picked up the phone to let him know about this impending doomsday and called him, didn't you?
That's the reason I called him.
Right, you did call him, correct?
Yes.
And you called him, and he answered the telephone, right?
Yes.
And you identified yourself, didn't you?
No.
Well, you spoke, didn't you?
Oh, I did identify myself. I'm sorry. Yes.
And he knew who you were because you identified yourself, right?
Yes. The first night.
Ma'am, is that yes? You did identify yourself,
I
right?
said yes.
And he hung up on you, didn't he?
Yes.
But, and according to you, the reason you were calling was because, well, it was the end of the world, right?
No, not
Well,
yet.
didn't you tell us that the reason you were calling him was because September 23rd of 1997 was impending and you wanted to let him know?
Yes.
So, after that first call, he didn't call you back, did he?
No.
But you persisted, didn't you?
I called the next night.
The answer is you continued to call, right?
One more time. Yes.
Right. And you called the next night again, right?
Yes.
Didn't you get the message when he hung up on you the first night that he didn't want to talk to you?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
I got that impression.
If somebody hangs up on you, isn't that a clear message to you that they don't want to talk to you? More
Not
than an
necessarily.
impression? Pardon?
Not necessarily.
So if somebody hangs up to you, that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to talk to you?
No.
Well, what other reason would they be hanging up on you if they don't, other than they don't want to talk to you?
It could be accidental, it could be a malfunction of the phone, it could be anything without explanation, I wouldn't know.
Okay, so that's, all right. But then you call them, why didn't you, if you thought that that was the problem that first night, why didn't you just call them right away? Why didn't you just pick up the phone and call them right away? To make sure that it wasn't a mechanical malfunction. Why didn't you do that?
I think I was kind of shy.
You think you were kind of shy, but that didn't stop you from calling the next day, right?
It took that long to work up the courage
Ma'am,
again.
it didn't, the shyness that you professed did not stop you from calling the next day, right?
Objection, ask and answer, she just explained that.
Sustained.
And this shyness that you professed didn't stop you from going up to him in a football game and introducing yourself to him, right?
Objection, ask and answer.
Sustained.
Now, you then do call him the next day, right?
Yes.
What time of the day was it?
I don't recall. It would have been after school, I think.
Would it be after work too or not?
Objection, ask and answer.
Overruled.
I usually wasn't scheduled on school days.
Okay, and so you call him and you dial his number and you get him again, right?
Yes.
He answers the phone, right?
Yes.
And after he answers the phone, you identify yourself again, right?
This time I didn't.
Did you say something?
Yes.
So you didn't identify yourself, but your voice came through the wire line, right?
Yes.
And immediately, upon hearing your voice, he hung up on you again, didn't he?
That's right.
Didn't say a word to you, did he?
No.
Well, ma'am, with regard to that, you didn't really, then he calls you back though, right?
A few days later, yes.
Yeah, and he calls you back and you begin to talk, right?
Yes.
And it really isn't your fault, you can't take no responsibility for it, that he actually called you back, can you? Or that the friendship was rekindled, right? Because he called you back, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
I don't know what you mean by fault.
Well, responsibility, how about that? Weren't you the one that was actually responsible for him calling you back?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation. I don't know why he called back.
Sustained.
Ma'am, he hadn't called you back, or he hadn't called you before those 2 telephone calls, had he?
No.
He only called you back after those 2 telephone calls, right?
Yes.
And according to you, the reason for that was because you thought it was the end of the world, right?
Yes.
And so then you again start this relationship with Mr. Juarez, right?
What was that question?
You start this relationship with Bobby again, right?
Yes.
And at first you're friends again, right?
Yes.
And you stay friends until it becomes more than that, right?
Yes.
Sure. At some point you even moved in with him, didn't you?
Yes.
And this is during the time that you are what, a senior in high school?
Junior.
Is this shortly before you dropped out or not?
Shortly before I dropped out.
Right. And according to you, you were in school and you had a history test, right?
Yes.
And the way you told it is that you were very studious. You were studying for this history test, weren't you?
I
In the
wasn't
car.
very studious, but I was studying.
Right. You were studying at a time where you had to be somewhere else, right?
Yes.
And your father caught you, right?
Yes.
Well, the reason you were studying at a time that you should have been in school was because you hadn't prepared for whatever reason to be ready to take this test, right?
That's right.
But that's your fault that you weren't prepared, right?
Yes.
But the way you made it sound when your father grounded you was that he was being mean to you, the way you presented it as part of your childhood.
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Were you happy the fact that he grounded you for 3 months?
Happy? No.
You're pretty unhappy about it, weren't you?
I was stunned.
Pardon?
I was stunned.
Stunned. So just because you were stunned, you decided to move out, right?
That was not the main reason. That was just the last straw.
Well, do you remember telling us that once he grounded you for 3 months, you said it on direct, that was the reason why you decided to move out, right?
Yes, that was the last straw.
That's the reason then, right?
Objection, mischaracterizes her testimony.
Overruled. You may answer.
Right?
What was the question?
The reason that you moved out was because your father grounded you for 3 months, right?
That was one of the reasons.
And then you moved in with Mr. Juarez, right?
That's right.
And the way you present this, it's like you never seem to take responsibility, man.
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take the evening recess at this time. Please be back in the designated area at 10:25, which would be the jury room. Please remember the admonition. Have a nice evening. You are excused.
Please stand for the jury.
Please be seated. The record will show the jury has left the courtroom. Ms. Arias, you may step down. Counsel, please approach. We are in recess. Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Ms. Arias, you are still under oath. Do you understand?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez, you may continue.
Now, when you were 17 years old, you moved out of your parents' household and you moved in with Bobby Juarez, correct?
Yes.
And you and he began living at his grandmother's house, correct?
I believe it was his grandparents, but he called them his parents.
And this was in Montague, correct?
Yes.
And the address actually was 611 North 9th Street in Montague, California, in Montague, correct?
I don't remember the house number, but 9th Street is correct.
And part of what happened when you were living with him was that you and he became much closer, right?
We just continued our relationship.
Right, but it got to a point, though, that you felt something, right? That something was wrong.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you felt like something was wrong, and so it was something that was inside you, and so that for a period of time you kept it inside you, but there was a feeling that something was wrong involving your relationship with Mr. Juarez, right?
It was more than a feeling, but
When you say it was more than a feeling, what are you talking about? Did you see something else, or what?
I saw and heard, yes.
And you saw, before you did anything, what did you see?
He used to talk on the phone a lot with a woman that he was friends with prior to our relationship, that he had been interested, said he was no longer interested, but their conversations were long, kind of a little over the line from what I think was appropriate for a boyfriend of mine.
So you had this sense that something was wrong. He was talking on the telephone to somebody that he previously knew before, correct?
Yes.
And this individual was in New Orleans, Louisiana, correct?
Yes.
And because the conversations took a long time, that was something that sort of gave a rise to you to feel that something was wrong, additionally, right?
That, and he had had a prior interest in her.
Okay, so he had a prior interest in her, and he was on the telephone, and you believed also that the subject matter that he was addressing on the telephone was something that was also inappropriate, right?
Somewhat, yes.
When you say somewhat, it means it wasn't. So what are you talking about? What is the subject matter? Don't tell me what he said. What subject matter did they discuss that you thought was inappropriate?
It was more, I don't remember a specific subject matter, but it was the tone and the way he spoke to her and that kind of thing.
Okay, so now it wasn't the subject matter, it was just the tone that you're talking about, right?
No, it was subject matter. I just don't remember what specific subject matter.
And as a result of that, one of the things that happened is that you had a car, right?
Yes,
And you would drive him around occasionally, right?
all the time.
So you would drive him around then, right?
Yes.
And at some point, one day you were going to go to work, right?
Yes.
And when you were going to work, one of the things that happened was that you and he stopped at the library, right?
That's right.
And you stopped at the library so that he could go onto a computer there at the library and log on and look at whatever it is that he was going to look at, right?
Both of us, yes.
Well, did you get on that same computer with him?
Yes.
So at the same time that you're on there, you go onto that computer and you're looking at what's going on, right?
Yes, for one period of time, yes.
When you say long period of time, how long were you on there? That's a long period of time while you're at the library.
I didn't say long, I said one.
One period of time. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So are you saying it was just one time?
That day, yes.
So that day, as I understand what you're saying is you go to the library with him and he gets on the computer and you're looking at this computer too.
We get on the computer together.
Okay, both of you get on the computer. Do you use a code, a password, or how is it that it works?
There was no code necessary for the websites we were visiting at that moment.
So anybody can get on the computers there at the library without a password and get to somebody's, for example, Hotmail account, right?
I think there would be a password necessary for Hotmail, but I don't know. You could get on the computer without a password necessary or a login in Wairika in 1997 at that time, yes.
So
Or that was 98, excuse me.
So in order to log in, what you're saying is you did or you didn't need a password to get onto the computer.
Did not need a password to get on the computer.
But you did need a password to get onto, for example, a specific Hotmail account, right?
That's right.
Or a Gmail account if that was around, correct?
Yes, I would think. I don't know about Gmail.
Okay, but it was Hotmail back then, correct?
Yes.
And both of you went onto this computer and he looked at whatever he was looking at and you looked at whatever you were going to look at and then you dropped him off at a friend's house, I think is what you said, right?
Well, there was one thing that happened in between that.
Pardon?
There was one thing that happened in between that.
I understand that you want to tell me about that, but you did drop him off at some point, right?
Yes.
And after you dropped him off, you were supposed to go to work, weren't you?
Yes.
That's what you told us on direct examination, right?
That's right.
And after you went to work, and you didn't tell us about anything that was in between there on direct examination, did you?
I don't know.
Do you have a problem with your memory? I mean, this was approximately no more than 2 weeks away,
I don't think I have a problem.
but you don't remember things that happened within 2 weeks, do you?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
And in this case, you don't, right?
I don't remember if I gave you the details
So the answer
or
is
not.
yes or no. Do you remember?
Remember what?
What are we talking about?
We're talking about the incident.
Right, and what specifically of the incident are we talking about?
I'm not sure.
So you're having trouble focusing on what's being asked of you today in addition to having memory problems?
Yes.
So when I asked you about what was going on involving Mr. Juarez, you had no problem at least understanding that we're talking about Mr. Juarez, right?
That's right.
And you had no problem understanding that we were talking about the time that you and he went to the library so that you could get onto the computer and look at the computer, right?
That's right.
And during that time, after you looked at the computer, you were going to go to work, right?
Yes.
And on the way to work, you dropped off Mr. Juarez, wherever it was that you dropped him off, right?
Yes.
And after you dropped him off, you, because of whatever reason, decided to go back to that computer, right?
That's right.
And what you're telling us is that when you went back to that computer, you hit backspace, right?
Yes.
That's what you told us on direct examination, right?
Yes.
And when you hit backspace, you were able to access Bobby's Hotmail account, right?
Yes.
Even though that's password protected, right?
Only if you log out.
So if you don't log out, you can get right back on, right?
As long as you're not logged out, yes.
And so in this particular case, the security there at this library is such that, or was such that, somebody, if they didn't log out, anybody could have come in and looked at what was going on, right?
Yes.
And in this case, that's what you're telling us what happened, right?
Yes, he did not log out.
Okay. And you didn't think of telling him to log out either, right?
By that point, I was on
Yes or
another
no?
computer.
Yes or no?
No.
And with regard to the portion of the Hotmail that you were obviously looking at the Hotmail account, the two of you together, right?
No.
Well, if you need a password to get into the Hotmail account, And you said that both of you were looking at this account.
I didn't say that.
Didn't you tell us that you and he went onto this computer together?
That's right.
And that you were there when he was looking at this computer, right?
Yes,
And you're also telling us that you need a password to look at the Hotmail account, right?
that's right.
So while you're sitting there, and while he puts the password in for his Hotmail account, he accesses or looks at his Hotmail account in front of you, right?
No,
Well, I thought you were sitting next to him.
I was at one point.
And now you're not sitting next to him when he's looking at his Hotmail account, right?
No, I went to my own computer to log into my email.
So the answer is no, you weren't sitting next to him when he was looking at his Hotmail account, right?
Yes,
And you went over to your another computer to look at this point, right?
yes.
How long were the both of you there at the library?
I don't remember, but it wasn't too long.
And after that is when you dropped him off somewhere, right?
Yes, at his friend's house.
And that's when you had this idea to go back to look at his computer, right?
That's right.
And did you think of asking him what he was doing?
I did ask him.
And you weren't satisfied with his response, were you?
That's right.
You were suspicious, right?
Very.
And so you were, at that point, very direct about, or focused about what you were going to do, right?
Yes,
You were going to go back to that account, to that library to see what was in that computer, right?
yes,
Even though that was not your account, right?
yes.
You, in a sense, were snooping in somebody else's mail, weren't you?
I guess you could put it that way.
No, I want to know how you would put it.
That's not how I would put it.
Ma'am, is there any other way to put it other than that you were looking at things that were not yours to look at?
I would put it a different way.
You would put, it's not snooping then, even though that was not your account.
That's not how I would put it.
I know that's not how you would put it, but that's what you were doing, right?
It could be looked at that way.
Well, I'm asking how you would look at it. In other words, did you tell Bobby, hey, I'm going to go back and look at your account? You didn't do that, right?
No,
You didn't say to him, and then when I go back to look at this account, I'm going to look to see whether or not there are any letters between you and this woman, right?
no,
And in fact, you didn't tell him, and if I find something, I'm going to print those letters out, right?
I didn't know that.
Well, you didn't tell him that any of that before you went there, did you?
No, I did not.
And you did all of this without his permission, right?
Yes,
And so you go back and you tell us that you hit the backspace button and you're then into his Hotmail account, right?
that's right.
So how much time passed between the time he was on there and the time that you came back?
Well, it's Wairika, so not much time. He wasn't far.
Give me a time. And maybe doesn't matter where you are. I just want to know how much time.
Between what and what again?
What are we talking about, ma'am?
We're talking about the incident.
Right? And we're talking about where you took him, right?
Yes,
And we're talking about you coming back, right?
okay,
And we're also talking about the time that he logged in initially, right?
okay.
And we're talking about how much time elapsed between the time he logged in and the time you came back and hit that backspace button.
I don't know.
Could it have been an hour?
No, it was not an hour. I almost had to be at work like right then.
What's that?
I had to be to work almost right then, so it was only a matter of minutes.
So you decided to, so it's only a matter of minutes. You're saying it was about 5 minutes then?
Objection. Mischaracterizes her testimony.
Restate your question.
How many minutes?
I don't know, I wasn't timing it.
Did you, after that, did you go to work and say, hey, I'm not going to come into work? Or did you go back to the library?
At what point?
At the point that you decide to go back to the library.
I went to the library first before going to work.
I'm not asking you that. Did you notify work, ma'am, that you were going to be late?
Objection as to relevance.
Overruled.
I notified them that, afterward I did. I didn't notify them that I'd be late. I notified them that I wasn't coming in that night.
Right? In other words, you didn't even have the courtesy to tell them that you weren't going to come in until after this computer issue was
Objection argumentative.
presented.
Sustained.
So you didn't tell them that you weren't going to go to work until after this computer incident, right?
Argumentative relevance. It restated the same question.
Overruled.
Hello, True Crime. It's great to see you. Welcome to the stream, and I hope that you've been doing all right. This has been a very explicit trial. It's has a lot of wild scenes in it where they talk about, explicit messages. And on the stand, she seems so, like emotionless. And they had her dress a certain way to make her look like a librarian more than like what she was before. So it certainly is an interesting trial to review, and people have talked about their different opinions about it, and we've been discussing the case. So yeah, I like discussing this case. I was in like high school, beginning of high school when this was out, but yeah, I think it's very interesting. So that's cool that you saw it every day in real time. Yeah, and I've appreciated the diverse opinions about this case that I've heard. All right, now we'll continue.
After the computer, is that what you asked?
Yes.
Yes, I was too upset.
And how long, did I ask you if you were upset, ma'am? Is that no?
No,
So did you then go to the computer and you started looking at it, right? You hit the backspace button, right?
yes,
Did it take you directly to his correspondence?
yes,
And you started reading things, right?
yes.
What was the name of this woman?
I don't remember.
And you
It was
did
a
print
nickname.
out some of the letters, right?
Yes,
And you believe that they were inappropriate, right?
yes.
And they were inappropriate. They didn't have any, they weren't of a sexual nature, were they?
No.
They were just sort of friendly kind of letters, right?
They were beyond friendly.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, she definitely had no heart, and yeah, we've seen the interrogation. We have not come to the part where she stands on her head, and because that's something that she did. She stayed in her head, did some yoga stuff, but we saw the interrogation, and the officer was pressuring her to, obviously get the answer out of her, and she was said very heartless and manipulative during her time in there. So yeah, we did see that, and I think that not every single part of it, but we've seen some scenes from it, and it's she's very strange, in the interrogation.
Friendly.
Well, they weren't sexual though, right?
No.
And they didn't indicate that they had met recently or anything like that, right?
They had never met before.
And they had never had any sort of, I don't know, physical contact. The point is they hadn't met before, correct?
Not by that point.
They hadn't met before at the point that you are looking at these letters, right?
Yes, not by that point.
And you then, however, decided that there was a problem here, that he was cheating on you, right?
Yes.
And that sort of validated what you had been feeling, right?
Yes, very much.
And so you decided to do something about it right then and there, right?
Yes.
You didn't go into work, right?
I did not.
You did notify them that you were not going to go into work that day, though, is what you told us, right?
Yes, I did.
Where were you working?
I think I was working at the Purple Plum.
And then you went to where Mr. Juarez was, and you started to talk to him about these letters, right?
First I printed them and then I went there with them.
You did go to talk to Mr. Juarez, correct?
Yes.
And you had these letters, and you confronted him with them, with the letters, right?
Yes.
Ma'am, in your personal life, not the professional life, but in your personal life, you're very direct when you feel that you've been aggrieved, aren't you?
Objection argumentative, Your Honor.
It depends on how comfortable I am with the person.
Well, you were comfortable enough to immediately confront Bobby, right?
Absolutely.
Because you had a relationship, right?
Yes.
You didn't waste any time going right to him and saying, look, I have these letters and they're a problem for me, right?
I didn't say that.
You didn't go to him with these letters?
I did, but I didn't say what you said.
Well, so you told him you were okay with the letters then, right?
I didn't say that either.
Well, you let him know that you had a problem with those letters, didn't you?
I didn't say anything. I handed them
so
to him
you-
and cried, and he read them.
So you went in there, you gave him the letters, and you started to cry, right?
Yeah.
But that was after you had not gone into work, after you had sort of gone into his computer, his personal items, and then immediately, within minutes, because Eureka's very small according to you, you were there confronting him, right?
I guess you could say confrontation.
No, I don't want you to say, I don't want you to guess on anything. You were there showing him these letters, whether you were saying a word or not, you were there, right?
Define showing, I just handed them to him.
Okay, giving somebody the letters, that doesn't mean showing to you?
They were folded up.
Giving somebody the letters doesn't mean showing them to that person?
It could.
It could. Well, you were there. If you gave him those letters, your intent was for him to look at them, right?
Yes.
So when you gave them to him, you showed him the letters, right?
He reviewed them.
Ma'am, did you show him the letters? Just give them to him.
Answer badgering.
Sustained.
After you gave him the letters, he began to read them, right?
Yes.
And you were standing there, right?
Yes.
And you did not waste, in other words, you immediately went to see him, right? There wasn't anything intervening other than going to work and letting them know that you were not going to come into work, right?
Actually, that's not right. I did go home and get all my things and move it out. Then I took it over.
So you were even more assertive than that. You were not going to put up with any of this. You put the stuff that you had at his house, and then you moved out, right?
Yes.
That's very assertive, isn't it? Even at the age of 17 or 18, isn't it?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
Well, you didn't waste any time at that tender age, did you?
No, I'd never been cheated on before.
Ma'am, did I ask you whether you'd been cheated on before?
No.
I'm asking you whether or not at that moment you made that decision and you moved out, right?
Yes.
Weren't going to put up with it, right?
No.
And then you went to talk to him about it, right?
Yes.
And then you guys broke up about it. Over it.
We actually didn't.
You stayed with him then, right?
Yes.
Even though you felt that you had been cheated on, you decided to stay, right?
After some talking, I
The
did.
answer is yes or no. Did you decide to stay?
Eventually, yes.
So eventually means that there was something that happened in between, and you're telling us that you talked about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
That's yes.
Where did you go with your stuff? Where did you actually spend the night that night after you took your stuff and put them in the car?
My grandmother's.
And how long did you stay there?
I don't remember. It wasn't too long.
Was it days? Was it hours?
Probably a few days.
So after a few days, you decided to get back with Bobby, right?
Yes.
And that was your decision, right?
To get back with him?
Yes. That was after talking to him, right?
Yes.
Whatever it was that he said, and whatever thoughts you were thinking, you felt comfortable enough to go back, right?
Yes.
Additionally, do you remember when we talk about Matthew McCartney?
Yes.
You sort of did the same thing with regard to him, didn't you?
In what way?
In the way that we're talking about. You
Be more
found out.
specific.
Okay. You had a feeling. Do you remember after looking at a photograph?
Yes.
And based on that feeling, you drove to Crater Lake, right?
No.
Where did you drive to, ma'am?
I drove to Crater Lake, but not based on the feeling.
Well, you saw a photograph with the letter B on it, right?
Yes.
And you believed that something was going on, right?
Not at that point.
Well, at some point, you did go to Crater Lake. What is it that you learned that allowed you to go to Crater Lake?
Two of his coworkers told me that he was
You were
with a
working,
girl
right?
named Bianca.
Objection, answer the question.
Initial response.
A couple was came into my work and they told me that they wanted to tell me something, and it was about Bianca.
And so you saw the photograph, you heard this, and you immediately left work, right?
I went home early. Yes.
But you immediately left work. Isn't that what I asked you?
No, I had to do some side work before I left.
All right. How much time elapsed between the time that you heard about this and the side work?
Probably 5 to 10 minutes.
And so then after 5 or 10 minutes, you left.
Hello there, Moki. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. I'm enjoying watching this of Cross. I think the prosecution is doing a good job with Jodi, and she's trying to cause confusion, but I don't think it's working on him. Yeah. And I hope that your quest and your day went well. I appreciate you here. Now we'll continue.
Because you were going to go take care of this issue by speaking with Bianca, right?
First, I drove to Ashland.
Did I ask you where you went?
Yes.
No, I asked you whether or not you went to speak to Bianca. Did you go speak with her that day?
Yes.
Didn't you tell us that you drove an hour and a half?
I believe it was about that long.
And so you weren't going to put up with that either, were you?
Put up with what?
Well, what is it that we're talking about here?
Which part put up with?
Were you going to put up with what we just talked about? Are you having problems understanding again what's going on?
Sometimes, because you go in circles.
Well, I'm asking you, did you have any problem knowing that we were talking about Matthew McCartney?
No.
Did you have any problem that we were discussing Bianca?
No.
Did you have any problem after you told us that you were at work, right?
Did I have any problem?
Understanding that.
No.
Did you have any problem understanding that after 5 to 10 minutes you left, right?
That's right.
And then after 5 or 10 minutes, you went and drove an hour and a half to speak with Bianca, right?
No.
What did you do in between?
I drove about 15 miles south to my home in Ashland. I got out of my stinky work clothes and just threw on some jeans and t-shirt and hit the road.
So other than the stop at your house to change clothing, you did go straight to talk to Bianca, right?
Yes.
Because you, whenever you feel that something's not right, that's your personality, it appears, you are going to confront that person, right?
Not necessarily.
Or not necessarily, well, the 2 occasions that we know of with the 2 boyfriends, isn't that what you've done?
Yes.
And so, with regard to Mr. Alexander, sort of the same thing happened back in August of 2007, didn't it?
No, it was in June.
Pardon?
June.
All right, so yeah, definitely. I've been covering the Epstein saga for a while now, and finally the finale of it has occurred where all these documents, millions of these documents have been dropped. And so I was gathering information up, and thank you, Moki, for your links and your information that you've given me. They're always very helpful. I went through the files and the different the different files, and yeah, I went down some rabbit holes the entire night. And so basically last night I talked to some people in different streams, did my saw the cats outside, did my walk, and I came back in and I went down the rabbit hole of Epstein, and I did it until like the morning time, and then like the rest of the day, like to midday, I was working on the video. So all that time, like from like nighttime to like the afternoon, working on the video, doing the editing, it was a lot. It's been about a minute since I've done a video, especially a long one like that, and I'm glad I got one out there. So yeah, I had a headache from the rabbit hole, but it was worth going down to see what's going on with that. Yeah, and then I like looked up with the internet to, in a way, see if other articles and agencies are reporting on different things I was seeing. But yep, they are. Yeah, it's a lot of creepy stuff. There's many, and also I was watching videos of other YouTubers that have been down the rabbit hole and came across different images. A lot of, I'd say, they're supposed to all be redacted, but I don't, there's millions of them, so I don't know if every single one's redacted. But yeah, you'll have like, say like some people on some girls on a yacht, which is creepy, and their faces are redacted. Or some other YouTubers have found like some massage scenes, and the girl is redacted. And yeah, like I went down like the list of the legal papers in the indictments and different things like that. In the diary, there is the diary about, was ciphered, because I was reading it and I'm like, what is this exactly? But yeah, it was ciphered. You have to like read it in zigzags, but a lawyer translated it back during the time of the cases were going on. And yeah, it was this anonymous girl had his child allegedly, and she was assaulted by Leon Black and Bill Clinton was, mentioned. Also, now it doesn't mean that these things are necessarily true, but it could be something. And then obviously, we know Trump has been mentioned in there, but nothing has been said about any of them that they really were doing anything. But of course, they're like, I think that Leon Black did something. That seems like that's been pretty much confirmed because he was in a legal battle, and there's the different attorneys talking back and forth with each other. So that seems like it had water to it. That one definitely did. But the other ones, some of the other ones, I don't know. But Deepak. Oh, I read about Deepak. Yeah, Deepak is in it. Yes. Between some BS about how he wasn't involved in anything nefarious. Sure, Jan. Yeah, that's a good one. I do think that guy definitely was involved with something. Not good. If anything, all of them could have been involved with something bad, hypothetically. But yeah, I agree with you with that. They're all coming out and saying that they weren't involved with anything. It's like somebody had to do something. There's a rat somewhere. Yeah. There's mentions of Ivana Trump too. There is basically politicians from both sides and billionaires from all over the place. Some people from the Saudis, some of the Saudi royalty were mentioned. Princess from Norway was mentioned. So it was certainly a global people were mentioned in it. But yeah. Yeah, Moki, and they'll do that. They'll say like they weren't involved with it, they didn't do anything, but yeah, something happened. And in the diary, there's all kinds of like a collage of different photos of like magazine pictures posted like in a notebook. Oh, thank you, Moki. There was like sharks, like pictures of some sharks or some inspirational quotes, some from Princess Diana. There's one about the ugly duckling that becomes a swan. And yeah, these victims, I read about their personal thoughts, and like they couldn't even talk to male counselors because of like what happened, and I can understand, but they could talk to the female ones better. Thank you for Pizzagate. I will definitely research that. I like the alien stuff you sent me. I was looking at that last night too. So I was also doing a side quest into the alien stuff that you sent me to. There was this... Yeah, they were very scared or traumatized. And some people had like Stockholm Syndrome for Epstein and thought of him as a father figure or a mentor. And they just couldn't like necessarily get away from him, but they were like some of them had an attachment to him, and they were paid lots of money, but it was at a cost to the cost was not worth it, of course. But yeah, so it was a very like I've been waiting for a very long time to see these documents. Okay, waiting a very long time, so finally it has happened. Oh yeah. I don't blame you. I'm glad that X is reporting so many things. I really like it. There's been so much stuff on there that I have learned. See, Moki, actually about X that I'll tell you about is in the early beginning. This is back in 2020 when I was on different podcasts on YouTube and I was getting more known. And my videos are getting out there. And that back then I was doing more of the alien sound effects and like gardening. And then over time I made like a collage of all kinds of videos. Now I'm all over the place. And I also do live streams now. So I was on X, and that's where I found a lot of philosophical quotes about things. That's where I learned about different Stoic philosophers, and it was helping me through some that and the Bible, helping me through different things when I was back then. And that's when I got into. I don't have it anymore, but I had this blog website about tea. I learned about that from Twitter too. So X, now it's called X. So there's all kinds of interesting things to learn on there, and I've chatted with different people and comments and stuff. I've not really been on there that much in recent times because I've been on YouTube more, focused more on YouTube, but I look at the stuff you send me, and I go in there here and there. Yeah. So, yeah, I like what what people have to say. And we know now that a lot of times, more likely than not, the whistleblowers, the conspiracy theorists, seem to be right a lot of the time. Scared. I remember learning about Pizzagate like yesterday or the day before. That's very haunting. Exactly, Bubbles, I agree. There he is. There he is. Okay, and Oki says, I'm convinced we are in a spiritual battle between good and evil. Not sure how the aliens factor in, but they do. Right. So we definitely are in a battle between good versus evil, and a lot of times they'll show us it's about different countries or political parties, but it's about good versus evil. Because especially what we've seen with these recent files that have been released, that's what it has to do with. In my opinion, aliens factor in where, yes, I do believe that there are aliens from other planets that may visit us or trying to find our planet. Because I do believe that there are aliens on other planets. Now, I do think some other aliens could be, as I said before, watchers and good angels too, that factor in from biblical narratives about them in the end times where some unpure frog-like being spirits appear towards the end times. So that resembles the Greys, and I do think it could factor in that way, but I don't know everything, and I would like to know more how they would factor in, because I don't know everything, but those are my theories about it. But of course, there's things I don't know, and many people have different opinions about it. So there's that. Some think that they have these different technologies to help us, and as I said, good angels would help us against the force of darkness. And I do think there could be, now, I want to let you know, there are agendas that may try to feel that aliens would challenge religious orders, because the people are told these things, and people might want to use it to contradict the different religions, but I don't think that religions would contradict having aliens. I think that God made other beings. We know about angels and demons, so I do think other beings don't contradict that. And I do know there are deceptions of demonic entities that want to ruin the souls of mankind, especially with these files. Now, there is a podcast that Epstein did with Bannon that was recently released. He was talking about the crash of Wall Street and philosophical things to try to make himself look more humanized. And yet he seems to have mocked Jesus, and made some kind of like smart remarks about him. And then we was asking him, if the interviewer was asking him if he thinks he's the devil himself, and he kind of smiled and he said he doesn't think he's a devil, but he does have a good mirror. And he started smirking. So yeah, he certainly is like a cliche villain. And there's different clips of it that have been shown, and yeah, we're definitely in a battle between good versus evil, indeed. And Bubbles knows that we're in that battle, definitely. Bill Gates has come publicly about the Epstein files, and he does feel like responsible for being friends with him, and he thinks that people that are famous should be held accountable for associating with people like that. But definitely, people are skeptical about Gates, especially with the vaccines that he's into, and that he may be part of it. A lot of people will say he is part of it, a part of the system, so to speak. And yeah, because he recently did an interview about it, and they were saying that Epstein wasn't trying to blackmail people, but he certainly seems like that's exactly what he was doing to a lot of people. Because it's just, I said in the video that I think there was whistleblowers already that leaked parts of the files already, and that's how we know these explicit information before it came out. I remember reading a Harvard article about you have to have like whistleblowers is a sign that something is real, because they're talking about the chemtrails, and the government is not to be trusted, the article said, and that there are many times in history where there's like whistleblowers. That doesn't mean there's exceptions to the rule, but so whistleblowers are a sign that there's something going on, and not all the time, but a lot of time it does. So certainly a big victory against evil by seeing these files come out. Now, chemtrails, I think, tie into this stuff. Even if there wasn't a specific people have come out about doing chemtrails, we certainly see them in the sky, and they are doing things. But it's all starting to tie in together and come out. Right. And it got cold where I am again. So I'm not only dealing with the battle versus good versus evil, but the battle between cold versus warmth. Also. I'm going to be seeing some more cats tomorrow that I'm going to look after. And lately I've been very busy with YouTube, the channel, and other adventures I've been doing. I've been staying up later than I ever have in a while. I mean, in ever, really. So, but I've got a lot of stuff done, though. So that's good. So, definitely the aliens. I'm glad that's getting more recognition. I'm glad that the Epstein files were released. And there's many more rabbit holes to go down, because there's millions of files. So, yeah. I see you, Bubbles. Gonna go see what's with Bubbles. He probably wants some food. Let's see. I'm gonna play this.
Well, do you remember talking to us about an incident that happened in August of 2007 when you were looking inside and you saw him kissing a woman? Do you remember
Oh, yeah, that
that?
incident was August.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that you weren't happy with that incident, were you?
No,
And you thought you were being courted, right?
I was being courted.
And you felt that you were being wronged, right?
I wouldn't say wronged.
Well, you felt strong enough about it to then go confront him the next day, didn't you?
I don't even know if it was confrontation. It was
Well-
very non-confrontational on my end.
You went to see him, right?
Yes.
You went to talk to him, right?
Yes.
You went to clear things up, right?
Yes, exactly.
You just have a problem with the word confrontation because you say you are not confrontational, right?
No, it's because I wasn't allowed to be confrontational with Travis.
Well, you're saying that right now that you're not allowed. How could he possibly control how you acted?
He had that control.
You're saying that he controlled you so much that when you were in his presence, you had no free will. That's what you're telling us, right?
That's not what I said.
Well, you could have left anytime you were in his presence, couldn't you?
Yes.
You did have the opportunity to never go there if you didn't want to, right?
Yes.
In fact, you moved to Wairika when you wanted to, didn't you?
Not when I wanted to, but eventually.
Well, wait a minute. You said you were going to leave around March. You talked to him about leaving in March, and by April, you're gone, right?
Yes.
So that's leaving when you want, right?
No, I wanted to leave much earlier.
Well, you could have made arrangements to do that, right?
If I had the financial means, yes.
Well, you spoke with your mom about it, didn't you?
Eventually.
in your personal dealings, you don't waste any time, do you?
No, I'm a procrastinator.
Oh, so even though these examples indicate that you acted immediately, you believe that you procrastinate, right?
I didn't act immediately in August 2007.
Well, with regard to Mr. Juarez, you acted immediately, right?
Yes, I did.
With regard to Mr. McCartney, you acted immediately, right?
Yes.
And with regard to Mr. Brewer, you acted immediately too, right?
Regarding what?
What are we talking about here, ma'am?
Mr. Brewer never cheated on me to my knowledge.
Well, I'm not asking you about cheating. I'm asking about you getting out of relationships. You did get out of that relationship almost immediately upon meeting Mr. Alexander, right?
No. I
Well-
already had one foot out the door on that relationship.
But once you met Mr. Alexander, you got back home and immediately that Thursday, you told Mr. Brewer that it was over, right?
Immediately, as in 4 days later?
Yes, immediately and as in 4 days later, right?
Yes.
So you got home on a Sunday and by Thursday, he was on the outs, right?
No. He was
Well-
in the same house.
No, by the outs, I mean he was no longer your boyfriend, right?
That's correct.
So when you decide something, you can do it if you want to, right?
Yes.
And in fact, with regard to, for example, with your mother, you feel that you act the same way with her. If there's something about her that you don't like, you act immediately on it, don't you?
Yes.
And in fact, you were talking about moving. She assisted you or attempted to assist you in moving, right?
Yes.
She came out in May, right? I'm
I
sorry, I
believe it was.
apologize. She came out in March, didn't she?
It was late March or early April.
Well, didn't she come out on Sunday, March 30th of 2008?
Sunday doesn't sound right.
Okay? But she came out in March, didn't she?
Yes. It might have been late March or early April.
And she came out, and when she came out, and she was acting in a way that you didn't like the way she acted, right?
During part of it, yes.
She was making stupid excuses, wasn't she?
Yes, about her flight.
Right. And she was also being negative, right?
Yes.
And because of that, you made sure that she went back, didn't you?
No, that was her decision.
So it was her decision after you indicated to her that she was making stupid excuses and that she was acting negative and you didn't need it around you, right?
Yes.
So in your personal life, ma'am, it appears from these examples that we've been talking about, if you feel something, just again, based on these examples, it looks like you are able to act upon them very quickly.
Depends on the individual.
Well, I'm saying in these examples that we've talked about, it appears that you've been able to act very quickly, right?
In those examples, yes.
And so there's an indication somehow that when we were talking about Mr. Burns also, that you acted quickly with regard to him too, right?
What do you mean by quickly?
Well, you and he are talking on the telephone, correct, at some point during the beginnings of your relationship, right?
Yes.
And then you and he are starting to text message each other, right?
Yes.
You almost very quickly decide to make plans to meet him, right?
After a few months.
Right? And then you then decide to drive out there, and you actually do go out to the West Jordan area, don't you?
Yes.
And on the very first date, first time that you've been alone, you very quickly are having some sort of sexual contact with him, right?
No, there was no sexual contact.
So you're saying that based on your being on top of him and kissing him, that is not sexual contact.
I was on top of him sleeping.
Pardon?
When I was on top of him, we were sleeping.
But you woke up and you kissed him, didn't you?
After I moved, and he adjusted himself.
So you're saying he adjusted himself. You didn't help with any of the adjustment.
I assisted him, yes.
Right. And basically that means putting your hands on his buttock area, right?
No, it was his shoulders.
So that, additionally, with regard to Mr. Alexander, you broke up with him at the end of June of 2007, right?
Yes.
You were able to do that also, correct?
Yes.
And you did it because of what you believe were trust issues, right?
Yes.
Let's take a look at what you said about those trust issues. This is Exhibit 479. Before we leave the
Okay, let's see. Yeah, and another thing in the news is that they have not found Nancy yet, if that was kidnapped. The family wants, the return of the mother, but that has not occurred at the moment. Let's see. This, but definitely we are in crazy times. I do agree. The evil is heightened up. You see it everywhere, but also it's an opportunity for people to be more good. There are more with the cameras and the technology we have, it's easier to expose things that before it would be more difficult, like with the Epstein stuff or the aliens. 30, 40 years ago, it wouldn't have been as easy to do that because we're all connected with the technology we have. So that certainly helps with what we are doing with our movement. So I do like to see technology being used in a positive light as well.
The issue involving Mr. Juarez. You and he were sexual, correct?
Yes,
And in fact, you and Mr. Juarez engaged in anal intercourse, correct?
on 2 occasions.
So the answer is yes, you did, correct?
Yes, on 2 occasions.
Do you know somebody by the name of Richard Samuels?
Yes,
And he's an individual that has come out and is assisting in your defense, right?
that's right.
And with regard to him, you lied to him, didn't you?
Initially I did.
No. When he asked you about this issue involving anal intercourse, you told him that the only person that you'd ever had anal intercourse with was Travis Alexander, right?
I told him on a regular basis, Travis only.
So what you're saying is that he got it wrong then, right?
Objection.
I'm not saying that.
So are you saying that you did tell Mr. Samuels that you had had anal intercourse with other men?
If it was asked of me, then yes, I would have told him.
So he had to ask you then, right? In order for you to provide that information.
I answered whatever questions he asked.
And if he indicates that you did not tell him that, then that would be you not being truthful to him, right?
Objection, argumentative.
This is what the FBI has said of today about Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. All right. Investigators confirmed signs of forced entry at her residence and the Catalina foothills abduction window based on electronic data. Authorities believe she was taken around 2 a.m. on February 1, 2026, when her Apple devices stopped syncing with her Peacemaker doorbell camera. Software also detected person at 2:12 a.m., though no video was captured. Targeted versus ransom. While former FBI experts suggested that the home's remote geography points to a targeted act, official investigators state there is currently no credible evidence to confirm she was specifically targeted. The FBI is vetting multiple ransom notes sent to media outlets like TMZ. However, officials have warned imposters attempting to profit from the case and have already arrested one individual for fraudulent ransom demand. A former FBI agent has posted, cited she could have been taken across the border to Mexico, though official reports emphasize they do not know yet if she is still in the local area. The FBI announces a $50,000 reward for information leading to recovery. The rest of the suspects. Alright, so that's the update on her.
Rephrase.
Were you untruthful with him about whether or not you had had anal intercourse with Bobby Juarez?
No,
It's your statement that you did tell him that on 2 occasions you had anal intercourse with Bobby Juarez, right?
that's not my statement.
Well, did you or didn't you tell him that you had had anal intercourse with Bobby Juarez?
Objection, ask and answer.
If it was discussed, I would have told
Ma'am,
him.
the answer
If
is
it wasn't
yes or no.
discussed, then I didn't tell him.
Judge, she's not responding.
Yes, she is, Judge.
Restate the question.
Yes or no, did you tell him that you had ever engaged in anal intercourse with Bobby Juarez?
I don't remember if it was discussed.
Again, do you have problems with your memory such that you can't remember things?
I don't consider that a problem, but there are things that I don't remember.
So you don't consider that a problem, that there's a lot of things that you don't remember in this case?
In this case, that is sometimes problematic, yes.
And with regard to the act itself, and part of the reason I bring it up is that, do you remember in this chat that you had with Mr. Alexander, you discussed baby oil? Do you remember that?
Objection, foundation, what act is he referring to?
Sustained.
Ma'am, there was a audio conversation that was played that took place on May 10th of 2008. Do you remember that?
Yes,
And do you remember that during that act, this issue involving KY came up? Do you remember that?
yes,
And do you remember that in it, you discussed how much better KY was than baby oil, right?
yes,
And the reason that you were able to say that was because you had experience with baby oil involving Mr. Juarez, right?
I think so.
Well, we don't want you to think. Isn't it true that when you and Mr. Juarez engaged in anal intercourse, you used baby oil, right?
I don't remember that far back what kind of lubricant we used.
But you do remember the telephone conversation that you had with Mr. Alexander, dated of May 10th of 2008, right?
Yes,
And in it, you do discuss baby oil and KY, right?
yes.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 479.
No objection.
I move for the admission of Exhibit 479.
479 is admitted.
It's the monitor.
Yeah, during the relationship, I was very happy. And it wasn't just no.
Your relationship with Travis?
And it was just
May.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You do indicate that he's an amazing person, right?
Yes.
And part of we've been told about in this particular proceeding is that you've been telling us nothing but negatives about him, correct?
That's all I was asked about. That's correct.
Well, the answer is yes, that's all you've been telling us about. But he is an individual that was somebody that you loved, correct?
Yes.
And according to you, he was an amazing person.
Yes.
Right? And with regard to this amazing person, one of the things that we know is that when you broke up because you believed that he was being unfaithful to you, right?
I knew he was.
All right, and you knew that he was being unfaithful because you did, when he was asleep, you went into his telephone, right?
Yes.
And you looked at what was on his telephone, right?
That's right.
And you really didn't have permission to do that, did you?
No, I didn't. Actually, I did. I'm sorry, I did.
Oh, while he was asleep, you had permission to go in there?
He had offered, here, look at my phone, and I said no.
So, right before he went to sleep, he said to you, here, have my phone, look at it.
It wasn't right before he went to sleep.
Ma'am, right before he went to sleep, did he say to you, here, take a look at my phone?
No, not right before he went to sleep.
So, you decided, though, to go and look at that phone, though, right?
Yes.
And when you looked at that phone, you believed that you saw some text messages that were inappropriate, right?
I did see text messages that were inappropriate.
That you believe are inappropriate, right?
They were inappropriate.
And in fact, these text messages involve some individuals, some females, right?
I assume they were females. There were no names attached to the phone numbers.
All right. So it could have been guys, is that what you're saying?
Not likely, but I guess it's possible.
So you looked at these text messages, and according to you, the subject matter is what disturbed you, right?
Yes.
He was talking about meeting people, right?
Yes.
And in fact, what you told us was that one of the persons was married, right?
No, that was his MySpace.
Okay, so that was something that occurred back at the time that you and he first started to date, right?
Prior to that, it
Right.
occurred a few months prior.
But the messages, what did they say? I'm not saying specifically, but what was the subject matter?
Things referencing specific sexual body parts, interacting with other sexual body parts, things like that, and plans in the making of meeting up at hotel rooms or his house, things like that.
And you were very offended by that, right?
Yeah, offended would be accurate.
Right? And you were so offended that you still decided to go on vacation with him, though, right?
That wasn't why.
Well, no, you were very offended. You just told us that, right?
I didn't say very, but yes. I was
Okay, you were offended, right?
I was hurt.
Ma'am, didn't you just say you were offended?
Offended would be accurate.
And didn't you just say it was a good word, right?
Yeah, there's many descriptors to use.
But you just said just now it was a good word, right?
Yes, I think.
You think? It means you don't remember what you just said?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You just said offended was a good word, and when I used it, then you took issue with it. Is it a good word or is it not a good word?
It depends on how you used it.
Well,
I
I'm
took
saying
issue.
you're the one that I asked you the question that you were offended, and you said offended is a good word, right? That's what you said, right?
I think so, yes.
So, well, you think so means you don't know, right?
I don't know.
Well, this just happened. How is it that you are not remembering what you're saying?
Because you're making my brain scramble.
I'm again making your brain scramble. So in this particular case, the problem is not you, it's the questions being posed by the prosecutor, right?
No, not
Yes
the
or no?
questions.
Yes or no?
I was saying no when you interrupted me.
So, no, so in this case, you're looking to point the finger at somebody else again, right?
No, it's my fault.
Well, you're saying it's the prosecutor that's asking you the questions, and that's creating a problem for you, right?
That's not what I said.
Well, you said it's the way you're posing the questions. You just said that, right?
She's saying that the questions are making her brain scramble, and she says it in like such a calm way, like it's all scripted. This would be like the weirdest argument if you could like think about it. It's like he's like getting fired up, and she's just very like no emotion. It's it's like her passive aggressiveness is through the roof, definitely. Like she's trying to hold herself back. More links, awesome. Facts. Like this whole time they're having this argument. I think he's doing a good job with it. In my opinion. By the way, I also I like making alien videos too about alien theories. Been a while since I've done that one, but I got a lot of new information to talk about in the alien videos. Thanks to Moki. Now we'll continue.
I don't know.
You don't know what you just said, ma'am?
Objection argumented, Your Honor.
I don't know.
Didn't it just happen?
Yes.
So how is it that if it just happened...
Oh, I agree. I do agree that what he did was extremely disgusting and horrid. And the scandal that he was involved in, like, I can't really look at him, like, in a positive way because of, although in his cross I think that he did well, still I have a bitter taste about him because of the accusations and what he did, the scandal that he was involved in, and he did step down from it, from the his position. So yeah. Right. So I do agree with you that it's hard to appreciate him knowing about what he did now. Right. I do agree. Things that I didn't even know about him before myself. So, because he himself was a creep too. He's no different than Jodi.
And you can't even remember what you just said.
I think I'm more focused on your posture and your tone and your anger, so it's hard to process the question.
So the answer is, it's again the prosecutor's fault because you perceive him to be angry, right?
It's not your fault.
Well, is somebody asking you whose fault it is?
You did.
Well, you seem to be pointing it at the prosecutor, right? So you believe the reason that you can't be effective on the witness stand is because somebody is asking you questions in a way you don't like.
I think that was a compound question.
Ma'am, isn't it true that you are having problems up on the witness stand, according to you, because of the way the prosecutor is asking the questions, right?
Yes.
And so according to you, the truth with regard to this issue depends on the style that's being used, right? That's what the truth knows.
Objection argumentative. Mischaracterizes her testimony.
Rephrase.
You're saying that you are having trouble telling us, you're telling us the truth from the witness stand, right?
Absolutely.
You're telling us that you're having.
For the record, this is what the prosecutor was involved with. His relationship with a blogger, which some of you already know about it from what I said it before, but I'll say it again. Martinez was accused of having sexual relations with Jen Wood, a blogger covering a trial and leaking her confidential information, including identity of a holdout juror who refused to impose the death penalty. All right. Sexual harassment. Numerous female coworkers at the Maricopa County Attorney's Office accused him of persistent sexual harassment, making inappropriate comments about their bodies, and retailing against those who complained. So, retaliating against those who complained. So yeah, he was a creep, definitely. Inappropriate conduct with jurors. He was accused of having flirtatious relationships with dismissed juror, attempting to use their connection to gain dirt on other seated jurors. The appellated courts criticized his aggressive tactics in multiple capital cases, including bullying witnesses, appealing to jurors' fears, and disregarding a court's ruling. Conflict of interest. Critics and ethics attorney Attorneys alleged he inappropriately sought fame and financial gain by winning book a trial in his case was pending. He was fired in 2020. Disembarred in July of 2020. Alright, so this is why the prosecutor is dishonorable regardless of his performance in the case. For the record. Want to make that clear.
Having trouble telling us the truth because of the way the questions are being posed, right?
Objection mischaracterizes her testimony.
Overruled, you may have.
I have no problem telling the truth.
I'm not asking you if you have a problem telling the truth, but what you seem to be telling us now is that you have problems telling us the truth now because of the way the questions are being phrased, right?
That's not right.
So it's something else then that the prosecutor is doing that's bothering you, right?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, it's something else that the prosecutor is doing that's stopping you from telling us the truth, right?
I don't know how to answer that.
Why don't you know how to answer that? You're the one that brought it up. You're the one that pointed the finger at the prosecutor, right?
Objection, argument badgering.
Sustained.
Ma'am, you're the one that complained about the way the questions were being posed by the prosecutor just now, didn't you?
Yes.
And you indicated that the prosecutor's posture was aggressive, right?
I didn't say aggressive.
You indicated posture, though, right?
Yes.
And there was something with the prosecutor's posture that you have problems with, right?
I don't know.
Well, no, you're the one that's used the word posture, ma'am. You're the one that said that you had problems with the posture. So is it the
It's
posture?
not the problem with your posture, it's that it creates a problem with me processing what you're saying, because I'm focused more on your posture than the content of your question.
So you're saying that you need to take some more time between questions to answer them? Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes.
Well, no. Is that what's going to help your memory to take more time between the questions?
Sometimes.
What's your answer?
Sometimes.
Ma'am, with regard to this issue of posturing, do you remember back on July 15th of 2008 when Detective Flores interviewed you? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he was sitting down, right?
Yes.
And his voice was very quiet, right?
Yes.
And when he was asking you these questions and his voice was very quiet, you still lied to him, didn't you?
Yes.
So it isn't have anything to do with the volume of the question then, does it? As to whether or not you'll tell the truth.
I'll always tell the truth.
Well, oh, so you'll always tell the truth. So you told the truth to Detective Flores back then, right?
I mean here under oath.
No, you said I always will tell the truth, right?
I said I will always tell the truth.
Right. Did you tell the truth? Isn't it true you did not tell the truth to Detective Flores?
That's true.
Okay? And he had posture or a demeanor where he was just sitting back, right?
He was leaning forward, but he was...
All right, he was sitting down, right?
Yes.
He wasn't standing, right?
Not for most of the interview. That's
No,
right.
he wasn't, was he? And the reason you're having problems now, is it because the prosecutor's standing?
It's my own internal mental problem, I think.
Well, if it's your own internal mental problem, that means that what you are telling us are inaccurate answers, right?
Objection.
No.
She said she had trouble recalling not telling the truth. This mischaracterizes her testimony and is continued badgering.
Sustained as to the first objection, rephrase.
Here, are you having trouble because the prosecutor is standing?
Having trouble what?
What are we talking about here?
You're talking about the truth, I'm talking about memory.
Aren't we talking about answering the questions?
You keep saying truth, I'm referring to memory.
Aren't we, though, basically talking about you answering the questions?
Both regarding answering questions.
Right? Isn't that what we're talking about?
You keep mentioning truth. I'm not having a problem telling the truth.
All right. But you are having problems answering my questions, right?
I don't have a problem answering your question if I remember the answer.
So, but you just told us that you're having problems answering the question because of the prosecutor's posture. Didn't you tell us that?
That's not the direct reason, but that's a trigger.
Well, that's what you told us just now, right?
Something to that effect.
Right. And so, would you like it if I stood over here, like your counsel was asking you the questions? Would that make you feel more comfortable?
Objection, Your Honor. Improper comment on counsel. counsel.
Sustained, rephrase.
Would it make you feel more comfortable if I stood over here and used the lectern, ma'am?
Why don't we approach him before he does the same thing over and over again, Judge?
Mr. Nermi, are you asking to approach the bench with an objection? You may approach.
If I stood here?
No.
Would you be more comfortable if I stood back here?
Where you stand won't make a difference to my comfort.
So, what you're saying is that you are hampered in your ability to answer the questions irrespective of where the prosecutor is, correct?
At times, yes.
Well, that's not how you phrased it initially. You're saying that you are having problems answering the questions because of the prosecutor's posture, right?
In that moment, that was correct.
So it changes from moment to moment then.
Sometimes, yeah.
So in this case, it changes from moment to moment depending on what the prosecutor is doing, right?
It's not necessarily just dependent upon the prosecutor.
With regard to your conversation with Detective Flores back on July 16th of 2008, he was pretty much sitting down in a chair back then, wasn't he?
Yes.
And yet you lied to him then, right?
Yes.
So it really doesn't have to do anything with the posture or where the person is sitting in terms of whether or not you'll lie, right?
Again, objection, we're not.
Scared. It is yeah, it looks like we have the link of the link marathon. Yeah. I am saving them for later. Absolutely. I certainly will have a lot of things to look at for later. Absolutely. And yeah, if you ever see anything that's it's like, how many links do you have, Moki? Moki says yes. There's a whole of, there'll be a link inflation. But yeah, many rabbit holes. Yeah. And I will say that every single link that you sent me was always extremely valuable, and I learned something new or confirmed things I already knew about. Like the aliens. Remember there was these whistleblowers about the aliens that you sent me? That I thought were very fascinating. And some people were assassinated or deleted, killed, and they talk about the aliens. Remember that they, through their bodies, they secrete waste through their bodies, through their skin. It's very different than how we are. There was videos of aliens that I've seen before, but not in a while. So you've resurrected and brought them back. Yeah, and the other the Epstein stuff, and I liked. Yeah, the rabbit holes I love going down, and it's so cool that you are also into the alien theories and the rabbit holes too. Because my channel became very diverse with many different people in it. And yeah, that's why they stink, yeah. And so it's awesome to still have folks on the ship that are interested in the extraterrestrials. Because that's kind of like the direction it was going to go into in the beginning. Because I did the alien video where the alien sound effects video. So I probably told you this before, but I'll tell you again. That there is a video I made a couple of months after I graduated school, and it was called Alien Spaceship Sound Effects. Oh, okay, Moki, that makes perfect sense. In a way, unfortunately. Because they were saying about the ransom notes may have been faked, or were imposters. So if they really wanted something, they would have said something by now. So yeah. And he was very involved with him, contrary to what he was saying. But of course, people on both political parties were involved with knowing him, including the president knew him too. But yeah, it seems Clinton was very involved with him. And anybody associated with Clinton could also know something. It's like a clique of this web of organized people together, and this is very odd what they're doing. Yeah, thank you for that. That's certainly eye-opening. Yeah, because it's a key to a puzzle that I hope it's not true, and I hope that she's found safe and she'll come back. But it's interesting. Unfortunately, it's like a bad interesting, like an unfortunately interesting. Yeah, so alien spaceship sound effects was the video, and it got very big. And that's where I named my channel after it. After that video. Oh, okay. I understand now, Moki. Thank you. The mom. They are linking it to the Clinton's online. Oh, okay. Okay. That's a hypothetical link. Okay. I appreciate that rabbit hole of information. Because you never know. And I do see a lot of... As I said, not all conspiracy theories are true, but a lot of them seem like they come out to be true. But it's still an interesting idea to ponder. Yeah. It's so weird that I tell you, the people that did it had to have known what they were doing, and they had to have known where she was, and had to know where to get her. And if they had some motive, they would probably have came out and said it by now. But I hope she's all right. Or whatever the truth is, I hope we find out one day. Because it's a mystery. It's an unsolved mystery. And I'm sure there's going to be people that are connected with it all over the world that could be connected with it, that something could happen. And all of this reminds me of, that's what they did in the communist countries. They would go and take out people like in the middle of the night, allegedly. It's kind of like that. It's almost like we live in some sort of a dystopia without us realizing it. One thing I do know is a lot of these people that are in these files that are being exposed don't want to be caught, and they're going to do anything they can to try to stay out of trouble. So, for instance, now there's stories about Epstein where some people think he is past, he is not alive anymore, but some people think he could have gotten away and be alive somewhere, allegedly. Some people think that could be true because he had a lot of dirt on people or a lot of connections, but we don't. That's a very far out one. There's certainly the theory holds water that his death was, in my opinion, assisted. It wasn't. Oh, one more. I'm being spoiled tonight. One more. It's just when you thought there was no more links. Nice. Thanks, Smokey. I'm glad to have a link about him being alive. Max. Ray Toodles and I were talking about that yesterday, about him being alive. Let's see. Yeah. Rather than, Columbo would say just one more thing, but now it's just one more link. And by the way, I save every link that you send, by the way. I have all of them. Well, I always bookmark thousands of pages. I don't even look at all the time, but yeah, I'm similar where I bookmark lots of links for myself for later, or if I need to make a reference to something. So I have like thousands of bookmarks of different pages and articles I read. I'm sure it'd probably be like the alien bookmarks, and they could be probably millions of bookmarks. Because that certainly would hold water to me, because the way his death and all, the way it all happened was very strange. And there's still millions of documents to look into, and I do believe in time. Oh yes, absolutely. Bookmark on X like crazy, obviously, yeah. So, and as I said, I like X. I remember that time that you sent me the information on the different alien species, the different lizard alien species that were around back then. Well, how about this? Lizard aliens that exist on different planets. I remember I read that in the morning. It was like, this is when I used to go to bed back in the day. It was like morning time was about to come up, and I went in my room and I looked and I read it very intensely about the different planets that they came from, the different species of them. It's very cool that was documented. Whatever the source was, it was a cool read. Yeah. So I have like certain like hobbies and interests I'll get really fixated on, and I remember them well. Remember there was a time we were watching OJ, and then we got into a conversation about penguins, and then I found out about the macaroni penguins, and they came from macaronis. It was a movement in Italy that the British people liked. Back in centuries ago, people had these really big wigs and a tiny little hat on their head. It was very silly. It was very silly looking. And then I discovered other types of animals that will have these different shells, and they'll similar like an armadillo. I found a couple of different ones that were interesting. So I always like to do internet exploring. There's all kinds of things to explore on it. There is a certain type of like a wild cat that reappeared in Europe that has been gone for a long time. By the way, they rediscovered it. All right. Continuing.
That mischaracterizes her testimony. She said over and over again it deals with memory, not telling the truth.
Objection noted, overruled. You may answer the question.
What was the question?
Mike, could you please read it to her?
Question. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the posture or where the person is sitting in terms of whether you'll lie.
Well, sometimes I lied to Travis based on his posture.
Objection, Judge. He's not responding to the question.
Wait, another question.
So, you understand we're not talking about right now about your relationship with Mr. Alexander. You understand that, correct?
I understand we got very off track, yes.
Pardon?
I understand we got very off track, the subject of my relationship.
I'm asking you whether or not you understand that this line of questioning right now is not about your relationship with Mr. Alexander. Do you understand that?
I answered yes.
And this is about your ability to answer questions in the courtroom, right?
Yes.
And what we're trying to determine is what is it that will allow you to answer the questions from the witness stand, from the prosecutor.
I thought you had said whether or not it's the truth. It's not about...
Ma'am.
Which part are you talking about?
Ma'am, Mike, could you please read her the question again?
And what you were trying to do is to determine also what it is that will allow you to answer the question from the witness stand from the prosecutor.
I don't understand that question.
Question's nonsensical.
Restate the question.
Ma'am, you understand that we want your answers, whatever they may be. You understand that, right?
Yes,
And you understand that we need as complete answers as possible. You understand that, right?
no, that's not the impression I'm getting from you.
So so the question is, so to you, unless you're allowed to ramble on, then you're being restricted, right?
No, that's not correct.
Well, in this particular case, you're saying that the prosecutor is cutting you off, right?
In this particular case, as in this cross-examination, yes.
And you're saying that you're not getting a chance to answer the questions fully, right?
That's right.
Well, let's do this. With regard to you and Mr. Alexander, one of the things that happened was
Okay, good luck to the Knights. I hope they win, and I hope that you have a good night and enjoy the game. Yes, more rabbit holes for tomorrow. Facts.
that you and he broke up. You understand that back on June 29th of 2007. You understand that?
Yes,
The person that did the breaking up was you, right?
yes,
And the reason that you broke up with him is because you snooped into his telephone, right?
yes,
And you did not have his permission on the day that you did it to go into his telephone, right?
not explicitly, no.
When you say not explicitly, it means that you did have his permission to go into the phone. You understand what you're saying, that right?
Yes, at one point I did.
I'm not asking at one point. I'm asking on the day that you did it. Did you have his permission, whether written or oral, to go into his telephone and look at his text messages?
He has told me to look in his phone.
That
So
day
I guess
before-
it's just a matter of interpretation.
Ma'am, that day before he went to sleep, did he tell you to look into, that it was okay to look into his telephone?
Not that day.
And so you took it upon yourself to look into that telephone, right?
Yes,
And that's when you saw these text messages, right?
yes,
And then that upset you, right?
yes,
And as a result of that, you made a decision that the relationship was over, right?
not right that day.
At some point, you did make the decision that the relationship was over, right?
Yes,
But you were upset that he was having these conversations about bodily parts with these other individuals via text message, right?
yes,
And you were so upset that you still decided to go on vacation with him, right?
that's not why.
Well, you still went on vacation with him even though you had this information, right?
Yes,
And you went to New York, correct?
we did go to New York, yes.
Pardon?
Yes, we did, went to New York.
And then you drove, or you went to a PPL conference also, right?
No, it was a retreat.
And then you went to Huntington Beach, right?
That was the retreat I was referring to.
Okay, so you went to Huntington Beach after that, right?
Yes,
And you stayed with him, right?
yes,
You engaged in sexual contact with him, right?
yes,
Even though you were very upset with what you knew, right?
yes,
You chose to go on vacation rather than break up with him at that point, right?
yes,
And so the way you see it, it's his fault that you broke up, not yours.
Objection, mischaracterizes testimony.
Overruled, to me answer.
his fault that I broke up with him?
Yes, not your fault.
Well, it was my choice, so I don't know what you mean by fault.
Well, we're talking about who was to blame. That's what fault means, right?
For the breakup?
for the breakup. That's what we're talking about, right?
I guess we each had a part in it.
Well, no, you're saying that it was his fault because he was doing these things with other women, right?
His fault for the breakup because he was doing things?
The way you explained it to me, ma'am, the reason you broke up was because of something he did, right?
That's what motivated me to break up with him.
So what you did, the fact that you went behind his back and looked at his telephone had nothing to do with the breakup, right?
That was also one of the reasons.
So you believe that you were to blame for going behind his back, right?
Yes.
That was a dishonest thing to do, right?
Yes, I felt very bad about it.
Did I ask you whether you felt bad about it?
No.
You know, you say that you feel bad about it, but haven't you done similar stuff in the past?
Yes.
I mean, you did it to Bobby Juarez, right? You went
Yes.
behind his back and you got on the computer, right?
Yes.
You went behind Matt McCartney's back and you went and talked to Bianca, right?
I didn't go behind his back.
Oh, you told him that you were going to talk to Bianca before you went to talk to her?
I would have.
The answer is, ma'am, the question is, did you talk to him before you went to talk to Bianca?
No, he wasn't available.
Ma'am, did you talk to him before you went to talk to Bianca?
No, he wasn't available.
Ma'am, you said he wasn't available. Could you have waited until he was available to talk to him to see if it was okay to talk to Bianca? You could have.
Yeah, but it would have been miserable for several days.
Oh, so it's all about you then, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
You could have waited though, right? But you didn't want to.
I chose not to.
That's right, because you would have been miserable, right?
Yes,
And you didn't want to be miserable, right?
that's right.
And so this dishonesty that you said involved Mr. Alexander, you had at least on 2 previous occasions engaged in the same sort of dishonesty, right?
Yes.
And with regard to...
I take that back. I don't think it was dishonest to go talk to Bianca, so I guess one time, because I do believe that the emails with Bobby was dishonest.
All right. But you did engage in conduct with regard to Mr. McCartney that he did not know about before you did it, right?
With regard to his conduct that I didn't know about?
No, I'm asking, the fact that you went to see Bianca, isn't it true that Mr. McCartney did not know about it before you went to talk to her, right?
That's right.
So that was behind his back, wasn't it?
No, because that implies sneaking around.
That was because why?
To me, that implies sneaking around, and I wasn't doing that. I was just open and direct about it.
You weren't sneaking around, you just didn't tell him about it, right? That's the distinction that you're trying to draw here.
Only because he wasn't available.
But that's the distinction that you're drawing here, is that you were not sneaking around, right?
I wasn't sneaking around.
Overruled. Right?
Yes, it was not dishonest.
With regard to Mr. Alexander, looking at his telephone or viewing his text messages wasn't the only time that you actually went to look at one of his communication mediums, right?
Yes.
In fact, you and he became an item in February of 2007, right?
Yes.
And you guys, that's when you made it official. You were still living in Palm Desert, right?
Yes.
And you were living in Palm Desert, but at some point you were able to look at his computer, right?
Yes.
And you looked at his computer at his house in Mesa, right?
Yes.
And you looked at his computer and you started to look at some of the items, what, in MySpace? Is that what it was?
Yes, his MySpace emails.
Pardon?
His MySpace emails?
But it was in MySpace, right?
Yes.
And you looked at some of the emails that were there, right?
Yes, I did.
And even though you didn't have permission to look at those emails, did you?
I don't know. It was kind of a trade-off because he did it to me, so...
I'm not asking if he did it to you, am I?
No.
I'm asking if you had permission to go into his MySpace to look at his emails.
No, I guess I didn't.
And so again, this is this conduct, this dishonest conduct on your part, right?
Yes.
And you went and you looked at his emails and you saw some emails between him and at least 2 females, right?
Yes.
One of them involved the New Year's Eve meeting, right?
Yes.
And that upset you, though, right?
Not really.
Well, it didn't make you happy, right?
It didn't thrill me.
Pardon?
It didn't thrill me.
So if it didn't thrill you, that's a way of saying it didn't make you happy, right?
Oh.
Objection, sorry, put words in her mouth.
That's right.
But that happened before you and he were actually officially dating, right?
Yes.
And so that really shouldn't have had any bearing on how you felt. Would you agree?
That wasn't the part that bothered me.
I understand that, okay, tell me what is the part that bothered you?
He lied about what it was about.
He lied to you what it was about after you confronted him, right?
No, he called me preemptively to explain.
Ma'am, you looked at his MySpace email, right?
Yes.
Then you and he had a conversation about it, right?
Yes.
So it wasn't that he had a conversation about it before you looked at his MySpace email, right?
About the messages? Yes, we did.
So he talked to you about them before?
Yes.
If he talked to you about them before, then why were you upset?
Because I found out that what he said was false.
Oh, I see. So he lied to you then, right?
About the message.
And what you were doing is you were sort of checking up on it, right?
Yeah, I was.
And that's because you wanted to see whether or not he was cheating on you, right?
No, it wouldn't have been cheating in December because we weren't together yet. I wanted to see whether it was accurate, what he told me.
Okay, so anything that he would tell you, you would want to check to make sure that he was being truthful to you, right?
That's not right, not anything.
Well, things having to do with relationships involving other women, right?
Sometimes.
In this case, that's what you did, right?
This thing particularly, yes.
And this is the other one that involved the email that you were particularly offended by, right?
The other email?
Yes.
Yes.
And you were particularly offended because you said that the woman that was involved there was married, right?
Yes, she was married.
And what was the woman's name?
I don't want to destroy anyone's marriage.
So what was the woman's name?
Shannon Crabtree Peterson.
And so you believe she was married and you believe that they were doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, right?
She was married, and by LDS standards, what they were talking about was very inappropriate.
But all they were doing was talking, right?
They were joking about getting together for a
Right.
sexual liaison.
They were joking about it, right?
I hope it was joking.
Well, didn't you just say that they were joking about it?
Objection calls for speculation.
As to whether or not they were joking.
Overall, that wasn't the question. You may answer the
Well, he was joking about his wet
Ma'am,
dream with her.
Objection,
and
Judge. I asked her
so-
whether, isn't it true that you said they were joking? Ma'am, isn't
I
it true?
did say that, yes.
And so the reason you said that is because you believe it, right?
Because he told me later after I
Ma'am.
confronted him. At the time, I didn't know what to believe.
Ma'am, you believe it. That's why you said it, right?
When I sit here today, I believe it somewhat.
And so you believe that they were joking about it, right?
At the time, I did not, but now I think, I mean, if what he told me can be believed, they were joking.
Ma'am, isn't it true that you just said that they were joking about it, right?
Yes.
And that's what you believe, right?
That's what I'd like to believe.
Well, you are testifying to the truth, right?
Yes.
And you said they were joking about it, right?
That's the third time you asked me that. The answer is yes.
And so, if they were joking about it, what is the problem?
By LDS standards, you're not supposed to have conversations of that kind of nature with someone else's spouse.
Okay, and that's because you are familiar with the code of conduct involving sexuality in the Mormon Church, right?
I am now, yes.
Well, no, you were familiar with it back in February of 2007 when you looked at his MySpace account, right?
Not all of it, but regarding spouses and their behaviors
Well,
and how
ma'am-
to interact with people that are married, yes.
Ma'am, you were familiar enough with their code to pass judgment on what was going on, right?
Yes.
As it applies to the Mormon faith, right?
Yes.
And this is knowledge that you had gained as part of your learning about the Mormon Church, right?
Well, another Mormon had explained it to me, so yes.
So yes, you did learn it, right?
Yes.
And so you knew that joking about these things was not something that was viewed favorably by the Mormon Church, right?
That's right.
But you believed that just joking about something, you knew about that. You knew that that's not something that was favored by the Mormon Church, right?
That's right.
But in terms of whether or not sexual intercourse is concerned, you're telling us that at that point, you didn't know if it was acceptable or not in the Mormon Church.
I'm not saying that.
So at that time, you did know then that sexual intimacy, whatever form they may be, was unacceptable in the Mormon Church, right?
I'm not saying that either.
Well, ma'am, did you know back in February of 2007 when you were making these judgments that having oral intercourse was against the teachings of the Mormon faith?
At that time, no, I did not know.
So you believe that just kidding about things is against the Mormon religion, but not oral intercourse? Is that what you're saying?
With a spouse who's married in the temple, yes.
So you're saying then that you believe that oral intercourse was okay back in February of 2007, but not kidding between two people. That was not okay.
Yes, that's what I was taught.
And don't they have brochures that they hand out?
Yes.
And these brochures include talking about sexual contact, right?
Yes.
You were here when Desiree Freeman testified, right?
Yes.
And one of the things that we know is that even laying or touching or laying on top of somebody with their clothes on, that's against the Mormon teachings, right?
That is right.
And in fact, that's something that you did with Ryan Burns. You laid on top of him with your clothes on, right?
Yes, I did.
And that's against the Mormon teachings, right?
It is.
And you knew that at the time you did that, right?
I did not.
So you gained this knowledge after being with Ryan Burns then, right?
After about a year after.
Right. So this is something that you never thought to talk to anybody about how far you could go?
I did. I talked to Rachel.
Well, I'm asking whether or not, well, Rachel is not somebody that's the end-all in the Mormon Church, right?
I don't think anybody would be.
Well, the bishop is a little bit more informed, wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
And if you had any questions about it, right, you could go talk to the bishop, right?
I guess technically, but I wouldn't be comfortable.
Well, you're saying technically, but you wouldn't be comfortable. You could go talk to the bishop, right?
Yes.
In fact, you went to Bishop Layton to talk about Travis Alexander's killing, right?
No.
Well, you called him, right?
Yes.
So you had no problem doing that, right?
That's right.
Did you ever have a desire on your own to go and find out what the Mormon Church allowed in terms of sexual contact?
Yes.
Why didn't you do it?
I did.
Pardon?
I did.
So did you go to a bishop?
I went to Rachel.
When did you go see Rachel about this issue involving sexual contact?
It would have been August 2007 after Travis and I went all the way consensually and we were both awake.
So you went to see her in August of 2007. You converted or were baptized in November of 2006, right?
Yes.
And you and Mr. Alexander are engaged in sexual contact between that time, November of 2006, until what? April of 2000 or August of 2007? Is that when it is?
That whole time period.
And during that whole time period, it never occurred to you to try to find out what the Mormon Church allowed?
I did try to find out.
Did you go to a bishop?
No, definitely not a bishop.
Did you try to read any of the literature that they have?
I'd read some literature, but not the pamphlet that you were reading from.
There is a pamphlet that they have, right?
Yes.
And this pamphlet is available to everybody, right?
Yes.
And in fact, you were here when I was looking at it and I was questioning Desiree Freeman, right?
Yes.
And this pamphlet is free, right?
Yes.
And it lays out the guidelines for what is acceptable sexual contact and not, right?
Yes.
And isn't it true that that pamphlet doesn't include anything about joking involving married people, does it?
I haven't read the whole pamphlet, but the part that I read does not include that.
It does include things that you are not to engage in oral intercourse, right?
Yes.
And any kind of intercourse, right?
Yes. It says all sexual relations.
Right? And in fact, it even talks about certain types of music that shouldn't be listened to, right?
I don't recall that part, but that sounds right.
And it also talks about what kind of videos or what kind of movies should be looked at, right?
Yes.
And you're saying that throughout this whole time, from November of 2006 to August of 2007, you did not have the opportunity to review any of this and know any of that.
Well, I didn't know it existed, so I guess then I wouldn't have had the opportunity. But if I'd known it was there, then I would have had the opportunity.
Did you think that perhaps it would have been a good idea to go ask if these materials were available?
No, I did not.
Rephrase.
You were conflicted by the fact that you saw Mr. Alexander joking with somebody who you believed to be married, right?
She was married, yes.
You were conflicted because Mr. Alexander was joking with somebody that was married. Okay? Better?
Yes.
And although they had never had any sexual contact, right?
Objection. Speculative. She doesn't know that or no.
Rephrase.
Even though you believe they had not had any sexual contact, right?
At that point, that was my belief.
Right. Yet, that's just people talking, yet you have no problems engaging in all this conduct that you've told us about during direct examination. You have no problem engaging in that conduct, yet you're judging somebody for just talking.
Objection. Mischaracterizes the testimony. She's never said she had no problem with it.
State your question.
Well, ma'am, you never sought counseling from a Mormon, whether it's a male or a female, about your sexual contact with Mr. Alexander, right?
I did, but not during that time period.
During the time period that we're talking about, you did not solicit aid from anybody in the Mormon church about what was the proper way to proceed, right?
That's right.
And the reason you didn't was because it was enjoyable, right?
No, because I didn't believe I was in the wrong.
Well, you weren't enjoying what was going on with Mr. Alexander?
I did, but that's not why I didn't seek counsel.
And in fact, the way you described it was that he's somebody that you could not stay away from sexually, right?
Yes.
And he described you as his kryptonite, right?
Yes.
And so it was a situation that you were mutually attracted, right?
Yes.
So is the reason that you were being so judgmental is because you were just plain jealous? Is that what was going on?
No, I was considering a future with him, and if he was acting that way towards someone else's wife, I wondered how he would treat me as a wife.
So if you were worried about how he was going to treat you as a wife, then why didn't you just leave him?
Because I wanted to give him an opportunity to explain first.
And you gave him the opportunity to explain, and it sounds like you believed him, right?
Yes.
And so, as a result of you believing him, you decided to continue in this sexual relationship, right?
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we recess. Please be back in the designated area at 1:25. Please remember the admonition. You are excused. Have a nice lunch. Room is here. Please be seated. The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Mr. Martinez, you may continue with cross-examination.
Ma'am, we were talking about the telephone and that there were messages on.
Alright, so now we're going to go over here. Okay, so at this point in time, we're ending the stream for a night, and we will resume tomorrow. Shout out to all of you, thank you for coming, and peace.